Domantas Sabonis has done it. He has passed Kevin Love for the most consecutive double-doubles since the NBA ABA merger with 54. He's now only one behind Jerry Lucas for the franchise record, and it was nice for it to come in a win for the Kings. And he barely got it. He barely got it. It's kind of weird to say barely because it was a triple double. So he got it in multiple ways, but only 11 points, 10 assists, and then the 13 rebounds. He only shot 5 times in this game from the field, but he was able to get it done. Love that Domantas Sabonis chant. There was a lot of that tonight. But the more important thing is that the Kings were able to come away with the win against the Philadelphia 76ers in a very nice win that saw the Kings lead for most of the game, other than a few times in the first quarter. But man, Domantas Sabonis, I mean, to be able to get a double-double in 54 straight games, I mean, that is insane. We truly, take it for granted how he's able to just get a double-double every game. But it's not like he's some volume scorer. So honestly, at any game it could end because of points. It's really hard to get 10 not that many guys in the league average 10 rebounds per game. And so I think once throughout the streak he got a points assist double double. So once throughout that entire streak he didn't get to 10 rebounds. But he just gets it because he just never takes a possession off and he plays so hard. And I think this game was a perfect game to kind of showcase that because man, he was just getting hit in the face all over the place. He was bleeding. There was no foul call. Like, he got hit in the face and he got called for the foul that had to be challenged on one of them. Just kind of a classic Domantas Sabonis game, getting hit in the face all over the place because he's just working hard, and the Sixers had to pack the paint and had to send 2, 3 guys at him the entire game. And for the Sixers, that strategy actually worked pretty well from a defensive standpoint. They went to a zone for a lot of the game. They were packing the paint. The Kings got open shot after open shot, and they just weren't knocking them down. They shot 26% from the three-point line, and a lot of those were open looks for the likes of Malik Monk, 0 for 5. Duarte went 0 for 4. A lot of those were at the end of shot clock. In fact, like all of them were end of shot clock kind of grenades, but they were pretty good looks. So he still goes 0 for 4. You have Barnes 1 for 4, Keegan 3 for 11 despite the hot start, Fox 2 for 6. So like guys just weren't able to knock down their threes tonight. And that's been the case for a while now. Like they shot solidly against the Magic, but against the Wizards and the Raptors, they struggled from 3. And obviously not having Kevin Huerter hurts a lot in that department. Not having Trey Lyles, not having Sasha Vezenkov. So 3 of your guys that are out there to mainly shoot threes are injured. Obviously, it's going to hurt. That plus Malik Monk really struggling from 3. But the Kings were able to grind out the win, holding the Sixers under 100 points. And the Kings have done that a lot in the month of March. 4 times they've held opponents under 100 points. And I believe on the broadcast, they said they had done it 4 times all last season. So really the Kings were just able to grind this game out in a game that they needed to win. The Sixers without Joel Embiid, they also didn't have Kelly Oubre, and the Kings were able to lock him down defensively. There were multiple times throughout the game where neither team could really score, but those are the moments where in past games or past, months of the season, the other team would go on a big run when the Kings couldn't score, when the Kings were missing their shots. And that never really happened in this game. And we've been seeing that more and more because Mike Brown talked about it, last month or a few weeks ago, where you can't use the excuse of your offense not being able to hit shots or score to excuse your defense being bad. And so we've seen that switch kind of be flipped where even when the Kings are struggling from the field offensively, they are able to get stops defensively. The Kings offense was clicking early on. Like you had Keegan come around with a really nice 3 early on. He's been hot as of late, and he continued that. He was attacking the rim, had a quick 7 points, And then on the other side, you had Tyrese Maxey, who was hot. He had their first 5 points, and then the Kings started blitzing him. And so I'm like, oh yeah, this is good. We got it into other guys' hands. They were missing shots. No one made a shot. And then for some reason, the Kings just stopped blitzing him. And then he just went one-on-one against Keegan or against Barnes. Barnes was laying too far off. He just pulls up for three. And he scored their first, 16, 18 points, something like that. It was pretty frustrating to watch. I'm like, you figured it out. You were blitzing him. And then they just stopped for some reason. Tyrese Maxey is just so quick, but also can pull from like anywhere. And so it's a tough ass to guard him. Keon got in foul trouble a bit. But really, the trouble came when it was someone else getting switched onto him other than Keon. And they were trying to get Keegan switched onto him. And Keegan, he can't keep up with him. And he fouled him a few times trying to contest from the back. Outside of Tyrese Maxey, the Kings were doing a good job of defending. And Philadelphia scored 25 points in that first quarter. Tyrese Maxey had 21 of them. And he played the entire first quarter. And there were moments where Maxey was just getting open even when he didn't have the ball. There was a moment where the Kings blitzed Kyle Lowry and left Tyrese Maxey open in the corner. I'm just like, no, 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 no. Blitz Tyrese Maxey, not Kyle Lowry off these screens. But then after that first quarter where Maxey had the 21 points, he scored 29 the rest of the game. Or, 8 the rest of the game. He ended with 29. And he still did it efficiently. It's not like he started missing a bunch of shots that he was making in the first quarter. The Kings just didn't let him get the looks anymore. And they were just full focused on taking the ball out of Tyrese Maxey's hands. And they did a really good job of that. And everything really changed when Davion Mitchell entered the game. Like, this truly was the Davion Mitchell game this season, I think. Because the Kings needed every little bit of what Davion gave them on both ends of the court. Both him guarding Tyrese Maxey, and I think Tyrese Maxey is the perfect matchup for Davion Mitchell because Davion is quick, but also strong. Tyrese Maxey can't really exploit his size, which is the problem most of the time. But Davion's so quick, so he can stay in front of him and navigate these screens. And also Davion can, show in the paint and then get back out to a shooter very quickly. So it was the perfect game for him defensively, the perfect matchup. And then also what he did on the offensive side was absolutely huge. No one could knock down a three. He came in, knocked down a couple threes. He went 3 for 4 on the game, hit one in the fourth as well. He was also attacking the rim, cutting. He made a really nice cut and got a layup. We needed his offense, and he came through. Malik Monk didn't have the game that he had against the Magic, where he scored 0 points against the Magic, but he still wasn't amazing offensively. He had some good takes to the rim, but he just couldn't hit the outside shot, and so we needed someone to make up for that. With Duarte also missing off the bench, we needed someone to step up off the bench, and Davion Mitchell was amazing in his 25 minutes. It was funny, though, in that first quarter when you have Maxey going for 21, Keegan Murray not far behind with 17 points, 17 of the Kings' 31 in that first quarter. He didn't really score much outside of the first quarter. He totally cooled off. He still got the shots up. He attempted a team-high 20 shots, 11 of those from 3, and scored 23 points on the game. I just liked how aggressively he was taking it at the rim. Even the one where he got blocked on the dunk attempt. Like, it's still, that created the opportunity for Domas to clean up that miss, put it right back. And that was the moment where Sabonis got his double-double. But the way that Keegan was attacking the rim was really good. Also, I thought he played some good defense on Tobias Harris at times. Harris can be a matchup problem for the Kings because he can just kind of shoot over Harrison Barnes, and we saw that where he scored a lot of points. I can't remember exactly how many, a lot against the Kings earlier this season. In this game, he goes 5 for 15 with only 12 points. I think the one thing that Keegan needs to do better is he needs to be ready for the ball. There were multiple times where it just felt like he wasn't ready to get the pass, and that's both when he's like running up the court in transition, but then also a play late where he's down low in the dunker spot and the Sixers are in desperation mode. So they're pushed up to half court. Sabonis gets the ball in the middle of the paint. It's a 2-on-1. He throws it up to Keegan. It wasn't the best pass. Like, if it's a better pass, Keegan can still go and dunk it. But also, if Keegan's more ready and he's already like moving towards the rim in that instance, I think he actually gets it and dunks it. It feels like a lot of times he's just not ready for the pass. But I liked how the Kings kept trying to get him involved after he had the hot first quarter. It didn't go super well after that for him in terms of shooting the ball, but they still kept trying to get him involved. And we've seen that before where he can kind of just go completely quiet and not even attempt shots after he has a really hot first half or something like that. Alex Len came in, made a nice play late in that first quarter where he got a nice block and the Kings were able to run it the other way. Alex Len, just super solid game. He had a nice and one, scored 7 points, 3 for 3 shooting, 5 rebounds, 2 blocks. The only bad thing he did was probably the one turnover. That was because he got the ball on the move way too far from the basket, and then he tries to pass it while on the move to someone else on the wing and just throws it away. And that's very much just, don't throw that pass to Alex Len. Like, if Alex Len is moving, he better be right next to the basket if you're going to pass it to him. But a really solid 11 minutes for Alex Len. The start of the second quarter was a little shaky. The Sixers, even without Tyrese Maxey, were able to get it into the paint. They were drawing fouls. Kings didn't have that same physicality defensively that they started the game off with. And then you had Fox kind of missing a few mid-rangers or floaters. Monk missed a mid-ranger. Duarte missed 4 threes in very quick succession. Fox was kind of just holding the ball on some possessions, not really doing anything. The offense stagnated. The ball wasn't really moving. And then the Kings started allowing offensive rebounds. That definitely wasn't a great aspect of this game. They allowed 15 offensive rebounds. Definitely could have been better there. Like, Mo Bamba did a good job on the boards. And there's just lots of fouls, and the game just felt like it was stuck in mud at that point. And that's where it got to 38-36. Kings up by 2. It felt like they were on that score forever. And I think that's when the Kings went on the run defensively of not allowing the Sixers to make a field goal in like 4 minutes or something like that. And that was when Keon hit a 3, Davion hit a 3. Davion made a nice cut to the rim for a layup. And so it was those two guys picking up the offense. KJ Martin, who usually kills the Kings and gets like 5 dunks a game against the Kings, he skies in there for a layup and leads with the knee on Sabonis. Mike Brown successfully challenges that one to an offensive foul. And KJ Martin, that was his 4th foul. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. He had been in the game for like 5 minutes. And somehow he's picking up his 4th foul. That was crazy. But yeah, Sabonis drawing that offensive foul and paying the price for it. Later on, he would do the same with Mo Bamba, paying the price. Well, that one wasn't called an offensive foul. That was just not a defensive foul anymore after the challenge. But Mike Brown getting 2 challenges right. He's been much better, much better with his challenges lately. And that's a good sign going into the playoffs. It feels like he's figured that out, and that can be very important in the playoffs. So that's good to see for him. Mike Brown also had another moment where he ran like all the way down the court and picked up a technical because of it. I don't know what he was doing. He was organizing the defense, mad at someone. I don't know. But yeah, that was interesting. Picked up that technical. There were quite a few technicals in this game. I think Maxey got one, Bamba got one. And then was there someone else that got one maybe? I'm not sure. It was a very physical game, I will say that. Kings had opportunities to kind of pull away at the end of the second quarter, and they just weren't able to because they weren't shooting very well. And that's where you're missing your Herter, Lyles, Vezenkov. And Sasha, he's been questionable for like 4 games in a row now. So it feels like the time is coming soon. And he's going to get in the game, and the first possession, his first touch of the ball, he's letting that thing go. We do need his shooting, like having all 3 of those guys out at the same time. They all add very similar things. And so it hurts to have all 3 of them out. Even Davion, who had like 10 points in the second quarter, or, at the point up to that point in the second quarter, had 10 points. The Kings had a nice run going, and then they were in transition. Davion had an open corner three and he missed it. I was like, dang, that would have been a massive crowd pop if he hit that. But then Fox made a very nice play to steal the ball back, because that was very much one of those moments where it's the Kings having the opportunity to, extend the lead and get the crowd going crazy, a big momentum play. And then he misses and the ball like pops back out, and the Sixers can just go the other way and probably score pretty easily. Like, that's a big momentum play, and it would have been a big missed opportunity for the Kings. But Fox is able to like just snatch the ball right back. And they didn't capitalize on the offensive end because that was, they just ran the clock down after that. And Monk missed a three. But that was still a big play to not give the 76ers momentum back going into halftime. So the Kings were up 12 going into the second half. Third quarter didn't start out great. You had Harrison Barnes missing a pretty easy shot. Harrison Barnes had a rough one, especially through the first three quarters. He made a layup and a three in the fourth quarter, but before that, he had been scoreless, and he wasn't exactly, putting up numbers in any other category or making a big impact in other ways. He was having a very rough game. He was the only King, other than garbage time guys, that ended negative in the plus minus category. Actually, no, Chris Duarte did as well. But when I looked in the first half, he was the only one negative. Chris Duarte also -2, Barnes -2. But yeah, definitely not a great Harrison Barnes game. You also had Sabonis missing 2 free throws early on in the third quarter. So again, the Kings just couldn't pull away because they just weren't shooting well, but the defense was still there. It was just a pretty ugly start to the half, I thought, and really just a bit of an ugly game all around. But I will say the one thing the Kings did a really good job of was taking care of the ball, because there were plenty of times where the Kings offense was not good and, couldn't find openings. Sixers were playing some good defense, but they were always taking shots at the end of the shot clock, but that's much better than trying to force something and turning the ball over, and then the Sixers can run the other way and score. Like, weren't hurting them they weren't hurting their defense through their offense, which was good. Only 7 turnovers, because that's something they can do against these undermanned teams. So it was good that they didn't do that in this game. Fox just had a bit of an off game offensively. Like, it wasn't a total off game. Just 8 for 18, 2 for 6 from three, 5 for 6 from the line, 23 points, 5 assists, 8 rebounds, 2 steals, 1 block. Like, it was a solid game for him, but he just couldn't quite find that mid-ranger or the floater. There were just some shots you expect him to hit more frequently that he just didn't knock down, but it was still a solid game for him, and he didn't need to do too much. But he was out there competing defensively. Same can be said for Keon Ellis, despite his foul trouble, competing defensively and just keeping the offense moving. And when it comes to those times where the Kings, offense was getting stuck a little bit, like the ball was still moving, there were plenty of times where the Sixers kind of went to a zone and they were just daring the Kings to shoot. And the Kings were able to just drive into the zone, kick it out, kick to the next guy. Like, they were getting good open shots. The ball movement was pretty good in the second half, I thought, and they just weren't knocking him down. So they did a good job of like not panicking because their shot wasn't falling. They were still playing the right way. And because the shots weren't falling, the transition offense was very important, and getting inside off that. Sabonis had a few nice plays in the third quarter leading up to the moment, or after the moment as well, that he got his double-double, where he got that offensive rebound, scored. Then he had the drive and the nice feed to Duarte, who made a really good cut inside. And so the Kings were just able to get it done ugly. It was a very hectic end to the third quarter. Like, the ball was just bouncing around. The Kings were throwing some crazy passes, Malik Monk jump passes, ball going everywhere, but it ended in the Kings' favor. They got that score, Fox feeding inside to Len, and then they were able to come up with the ball on the defensive end, and Monk was able to make a nice take to the rim to end that third quarter. And I thought all the guards, Fox, Monk, Davion, like those three guys did a really good job of penetrating into the Sixers defense and making good decisions out of that and penetrating into that zone that they were playing in and really just taking what the Sixers were giving them. DJ Wilson came in for the Sixers and hit some threes towards the end of the third quarter, so the Kings made an adjustment because Alex Len was guarding DJ Wilson. And so Len, can't cover that ground out to the three-point line. So then what they did is they put Alex Len on KJ Martin, and they were just letting KJ shoot, and he missed 2 open threes to start the fourth quarter. You also had Len getting another block, getting a dunk. So Len with some really nice minutes to open the fourth quarter, and the Kings were just taking it right into the Sixers defense because they were playing small. I mean, both teams were playing small at one point. Barnes punished DJ Wilson inside, put him in the weight room for a nice take his one, score inside of the game. Fox scoring inside. Monk had a beautiful pass to the corner to Barnes for 3. And so despite the Kings just not hitting very many three-point shots, they were able to get it done. The Sixers went on a little bit of a run, I think scored on 5 straight possessions with Tobias Harris and Tyrese Maxey, and the Kings weren't really able to get buckets on the other end, but they were able to get enough, and then they started getting stops after that. Davion punished the Sixers for pressing with a big 3, and that kind of felt like the end of it. And it was nice, Sabonis getting hit in the face, bleeding. They don't call a foul, but they stop the play because he's bleeding. And so what does he do? He just goes straight into Tyrese Maxey and feeds it off to Keegan for the dunk. Like, if you ain't going to call a foul for them hitting me in the face, I'm just going to run over Tyrese Maxey. And obviously it was a big flop from Maxey, but it was still funny. The end of the game, not so fun. The Sixers kept trying, not very fun. They had their bench out there, they had Cam Payne out there knocking down threes, but they just kept pressing, and it's just like the game's over. They were fouling with like 30 seconds left, down 10 or 12. Like, what are you doing? Hurting our net rating is what they were doing. That last minute just lasted forever. It's very annoying. A good point by Carmichael Dave before the game. He, pointed out the losses that the Kings had when coming home from road trips, and also the wins, like not pretty wins against bad teams, losses against bad teams, coming home after a road trip. And so this was one of those games where the Kings were able to actually pull out the win in this one and pull it out comfortably without, overtime or winning by 2 points. Like, this was not close down the stretch. And you can tell it's not close because you had JaVale McGee going for, some sky hooks and hitting the side of the backboard. I don't know what happened. It can't just be Keon Ellis. Maybe it is. But man, the Kings defense, just all of a sudden becoming a top defense, is just so fun to watch. And, I don't expect them to sustain being a top 5 defense. And obviously, when Kevin Huerter, Trey Lyles, Sasha Vezenkov come back, they're going to trade some offense for some defense. And that's good because our offense has not been great. But it is very fun to watch this team play defensively right now. And just, reiterating the fact that Tyrese Maxey had 21 points in the first quarter and ended only with 29 points. That is huge. He only had 16 shot attempts. That is less than both Keegan Murray and De'Aaron Fox. Tobias Harris, only 1 less shot attempt than Tyrese Maxey. Like, that is huge. Tyrese needs to be getting him up for this Embiid-less Sixers team, and the Kings didn't let him. I will point out that the Sixers were coming off the second night of a back-to-back where Tyrese played a lot of minutes, so that probably also has something to do with it. But we've seen plenty of times where you have teams on the second night of a back-to-back, and they still kill the Kings. One guy will kill the Kings, and so it's nice to see the Kings key in on him after that first quarter. And now we get into 2 very fun games, nerve-wracking games, but very fun. Tomorrow against the Dallas Mavericks, both teams will be on the second night of a back-to-back, and then Friday against the Mavericks again, both games in Sacramento. I will be at the game tomorrow, and I am so excited. The Kings in their last 12 games have gone win-win, loss, win-win, loss, win-win, loss, win-win. And so, it's not looking good if that trend continues, but really, when you're looking at these next two games, the Kings just have to be able to at least split them. Like, if you split them, it's living to fight another day. If you win both of them, you're in prime position to get the 6th seed. And if you lose both of them, then you put yourselves in a very rough spot. Obviously, there are other teams that factor in. The Suns, who lost to the Spurs tonight. Thank you, Jeremy Sohan. And the Clippers have been sliding, and we do play them one more time. And the Pelicans are still within reach, and we play them one more time. We play the Suns one more time. So, these two games are not everything, and there are still games, a good amount of games after that, 9 games, I think. So this doesn't decide everything, but it could be a big factor. And if the Kings split, at least get one, they win the tiebreaker, and that could be massive. Because the Kings have been able to win the 2 previous games against the Mavericks, but the Kings going up against the Mavs with the lob threats that they have now in Gafford, in PJ Washington. We know PJ always kills the Kings, even though he's been really struggling shooting the ball with the Mavericks. I'm sure that will change, at least in one of these games. It always does against the Kings with him. He is a certified Kings killer. And the Kings, against lob threats, that's not exactly our strength in defense. Hopefully we can start knocking down some threes. We need Monk to start shooting better. We need Barnes to be more of a factor offensively for sure. But I am so excited for these games. Anyways, that is it for this episode of the Roll Report. I will be back after the game against the Dallas Mavericks tomorrow. That one will be a late one for me, but I will see you guys then. Peace.